In a world where talking about menopause is almost taboo, one woman breaks the silence with her powerful story.
I felt like it reached a point I was like, wow, this is very debilitating. And I'm like, what is going on with my body?
Meet Rhiannon Coles, a vibrant force at 56 years old, whose journey through menopause led her to revelations that changed her life.
I did actually get on bioidentical hormones, and that changed my life in a week.
Join us as Rhiannon shares her unfiltered experiences and the simple truth she discovered along the way.
But you need to sit down and really pay attention to what's on your plate and be mindful of what you're putting in your body.
From debunking myths
And trust me, you will not get bulky.
to occasionally treating yourself without guilt
There's going to be times, though, when I'm like, yeah, bring it on. Give me that chocolate lava cake.
and recognizing the profound impact of diet on our lives.
80% is your diet. Probably in my bodybuilding days is when I started to learn, wow, how much your body can change just from your
It's
diet.
a call to action for every woman entering this phase of life.
You can't just keep pounding your body with weights or whatever you might be doing and not address the fact that we've reached a certain age and we have to really rehab it and take care of it so that it keeps functioning up at an optimum level. Yeah.
All right, Rhiannon, thank you so much for being on this call, taking the time. So, why don't we get right to it? We were already kind of chatting a little bit, but I'd like to start from the beginning, if that's cool.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you for having me.
you're you're very welcome. Like your early days. Is it okay to tell us a little bit about growing up, your childhood, as it relates to
Yeah,
fitness, and kind of give us a little
yeah,
backstory of who you are?
yeah, sure, sure. So I grew up in Liverpool. I've lived kind of all over the place, but I grew up in Liverpool, and I had two brothers, and yeah, we lived in Liverpool up till, well, I lived there up until the age of 20 when I went away to college, and I actually went to art school, and I was in textile design. So I did that for 3 years, and I went the year before I started doing my degree. I went on a backpacking trip with girlfriends, and we went to Italy. So we did the whole thing, taking the train down to the coast in England, taking the ferry over, went through France, stayed in Paris, and all that. Anyway, I got hooked on like Italy, like I loved it. So it was my dream to go and live and work in Italy. So after I finished my degree, I said, right, that's it. I'm just going to go and buy a ticket and move. Like I was actually quite a courageous person. I had no fear, and I said, that's what I'm going to do. And I had no idea where I was going to get a job. I kind of put the feelers out a little bit to some companies. I think back then it's like no emailing. I probably wrote letters or called and kind of tried, speaking in my kind of broken Italian. But anyway, long story short, I went to Italy. I ended up staying there 6 years. I was in the textile industry. And then I reached a point where I was super bored doing what I was doing. And I just needed a little more stimulation, just more excitement in my life. So I ended up meeting somebody who worked for an airline. And it was an airline that was based out of Austria and also in Milan. So, long story short, I went to interview for that, and I got the job, and I was super excited because the idea of traveling for me was just, amazing. That's what I needed. I just needed more stimulation. So I ended up leaving my lovely apartment in Como. I lived in Lake Como, and it was gorgeous, but I gave that up just because I was like, it's my dream to travel. So I moved to Milan. Had to live near the airport because, if you're on standby, things like that. So I couldn't stay in Como. Moved to Milan. Um, wasn't that happy doing, living there. It was pretty miserable. And the trips, I was doing long haul trips to the Caribbean. That was super tough. And the company I worked for were very strict. Everyone was like under, I think, 32 years old. Nobody could work. Unlike all the other airline companies, nobody could work over the age of 32. It was kind of bizarre. So anyway, I didn't stay there more than about 6 months maybe. And then I decided, it's funny, like on my trips, I kept on meeting loads of Americans, like people that work for Delta and American Airlines. And I remember sitting in a hotel in Jamaica one night and having so much fun with a group of these guys from all these different airlines. And I suddenly said, God, you know what? I think I missed a piece of my life out. What happened was I didn't end up going directly to Italy right after I finished my degree. I got offered a job in New York City. So I got offered a job in New York City, and as much as I didn't want to go, my parents were like, "You've got to do it. It's a job offer. Take it." So I ended up going to work for this woman only 3 months because, I didn't have a work visa, and it was just kind of like a little, kind of trial thing to see if I liked it, she liked me. And then I just didn't want to stay. So I ended up going back. Then I ended up the following year going out to Italy. So sorry, I missed that little piece about my life. So anyway, long story short, after 6 years in Italy, I just reached a point where I was like, this is kind of boring, working with all these women every day in a textile studio. It's the same thing day in, day out. Um, I was part of a gym there, left this part out. Was always into fitness. And I think in my early days as a child, I was always into dance. So I did ballet and modern. So I was always into, working out and doing something to move my body. Did jazz dance back then, it was really big. And then when I went to college, I joined a gym close by. And back then it was all like step aerobics and, very dancey choreo, how do you say that? Choreography. I
Choreography.
can't think of the word. Yeah, choreography. I can say
Choreography.
that.
That's
So it was
okay.
all like
It's a tongue twister.
aerobics and yeah, yeah, dancey stuff. And but I loved it. So I kind of got the bug then for going to the gym. And then when I moved out to Italy, I joined a gym and I had a mountain bike. And so every single day, it was like after the studio, I would ride my bike to the gym, work out, ride home, and I rode my bike to work as well. So I was in mega, mega shape. My legs were super in shape and in Como, like there's a lot of hills. So yeah, I really started the gym bug got me. And then, as I said, I reached that point where I was like, I can't really sit in a studio day in, day out. Did the airline job, but my fitness regimen kind of fell to the wayside. And I, really missed working out. So that was probably, I mean, maybe I worked out at home, can't really remember now. So in the end, as I said, I had this kind of epic night, one night in Jamaica, where I was like chatting to all these guys from all these different airline companies. And I said, guys, you know what? I think I need to move back to New York. So I just decided that's what I'm going to do, let my parents know, and they were just blown away. So I put all my stuff into storage because I wasn't sure, okay, am I going to come back? I don't know. But I decided, okay, I'm going to go back to the fashion industry and, do my textiles again. So I went armed with my portfolio to New York, just went out on a trip and just went down around all these textile studios. And there was a bunch of them that were really, really interested, especially because I'd been working in Italy and they loved British designers. So, long story short, a few months later, I got a job and then I got sponsored for a work visa and I went out to New York. And then from there, I moved more into kind of textile management. So I moved up from being a textile designer. And then it was kind of like the tables were turned. So instead of me designing, I was the person in charge of picking the design. So I would have textile studios come and see me. I would choose the designs and then I'd work with the design team. We'd put them into production. And lo and behold, we'd be making the clothing line. So that's kind of like in a nutshell what I did. It was like pre-production. And then I, of course, was joined a gym. I joined a gym called Equinox, which is a very well-known gym here in the US. I don't know if you have it, where you are, but fantastic gym. So I became a member there. So yeah, when I was in the fashion industry, every single day, or I say 5 days a week, maybe 4 or 5 days a week, I would leave work, come home, change, go to the gym. I mean, it was like a ritual for me, and I just enjoyed it so much. So I want to say like fitness for me really started to kind of accelerate and like it started to, reached a point where I was like, God, I'm not really enjoying what I do anymore. And it was so much pressure. The fashion industry, as you know, is so much pressure. and there's a lot of backstabbing, and I just wasn't enjoying the job as much as I felt like, you know, I'm passionate about what I do. It just, I wasn't enjoying it anymore. So there came a point, and I lost my job with it was the last company I worked for. I got literally thrown under the bus by someone above me and I lost my job. So I was like, what am I going to do now? Like, I really didn't want to continue in the fashion industry. And I kept on saying, like, my heart is more in fitness. So, long story short, a few months went by and I asked at my gym, Equinox, and I've been a member about 12 years or something. I said, I really want to be a personal trainer. Would you take me on board? And the manager was like, I think you would be amazing. You have a great personality. Clearly, you're in great shape. He said, yeah, I think you'd be a great fit here. So I started their in-house training program. It was, the education was amazing, and became part of, the training team, and I absolutely loved it. So I did that for, I want to say, it was coming up to about 2 years, maybe not quite 2 years. And I got my Pilates mat certification with them through Equinox. And then I decided to go alone. So I felt like I'd got all the great education that I needed and got my experience. And it was honestly very tough. I felt like I can say it was like being in military school where you'd have to be up at like crazy times in the morning, and going back at night, and it was exhausting for me. And I mean, as I said, I felt like the education, everything was fantastic, but it was like, I started that when I was 41, so it was very taxing. And although I felt like I had loads of energy, sometimes I would just get so worn down from it. So I decided to go it alone. And then I said, okay, I'm going to get my own clients. And then I kind of like met someone who was a manager of another gym at a party, I remember. And he was like, come on, come and join my team. So I got kind of lured back into that. And I went to work for that gym. And I mean, not to go into loads of details about every single gym I worked for, but I kind of moved around a little bit and got experience in all the different gyms that I worked for. And typically it'd be maybe 2 years with most gyms, and then it'd be like, yeah, I need a change and I wanted to move on. And then I kind of got, I mean, I would say it was during the pandemic, that's when I started to learn about having an online business. And it was right in the beginning stages then. I knew nothing about it, but I came across this coach on Instagram, and I really admired her. And I thought, she's great. Let me find out more. Long story short, big step for me, big investment. I decided to do this marketing course with her, and her name was Nicole. Her program was called Authentic Conversion, and it was a really intense marketing course for 3 months. And it was, every single week being on group calls, had a whole program to go through, had to kind of it was kind of like homework every single week, if you want to call it. And I finally went through that program, was had my own private clients at this point. I wasn't working for a gym. Well, I was working for a gym up until COVID, and then it was kind of like all the gyms shut down. So then I had probably the best time in my life. I had the most clients because no gyms were open. So I was training people outdoors, the occasional client indoors as well. Kind of, okay, let's wear a mask. Um, and then after I finished the marketing course, I decided, okay, well, now it's a case of like putting together a 12-week program, like a signature 12-week program, deciding, okay, really nail my niche. And I decided, because of everything I'd been through personally, going through menopause and really, really struggling, like I was always that upbeat, happy person, always a smile on my face. And then my health really started to suffer, and I couldn't figure out, like, why am I falling asleep sitting in a bar with my boyfriend at 10 o'clock at night? And, people would laugh at me, but it was like this just, took over my body. And I would get like anxiety and feel like negative. That, I guess, came a couple of years later when I really started going into, like, my 50s. But even like, the age of 48, 49, I started to go through that perimenopause and all that. Anyway, I felt like it reached a point I was like, wow, this is very debilitating. And I'm like, what is going on with my body? And because menopause is not, it was always a bit of a taboo subject and not in like mainstream kind of like, you never saw anything on social media about it. And I just was like, wow, I got to start my own research and see what's up with my body. And it was at that point I was like, right, my niche needs to be, because for me, I felt like, oh, it's women over 40. I want to get them fit and healthy. A lot of people let themselves go, but I didn't understand what, with all the hormone changes, what was affecting women's bodies and why couldn't they get in shape like they used to after a certain age. So it's then when I really embarked on like my research into like perimenopause and menopause. And I was like, yeah, this is my niche. This is the women I want to help, because I didn't know what the heck was going on with my body. But because I took interest in finding out, okay, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling negative? Why am I getting crazy hot flashes? How can I diminish all these symptoms? That I really started to like go, okay, my program, this is it. I want to help women who are going through this even way before they start menopause, like really help them get through it. So that's how my program came about. And I worked with basically an old boss of mine, someone who was she had a small studio, and I worked for her and another person, and she was like had such a great business mind. So she helped me put together my program, and she had her own online business at that point too. And then I launched in January 2022, and I had a few women do my program. And back then it wasn't, kind of, it was up and running, but everything I was sending out was emailing and all that kind of stuff. And I did kind of Zoom workouts with my clients, but now I've, obviously got a little more tech savvy. I've uploaded it to a platform and, using an app for workouts and things like that. So back then I had, the women had really good success and did some testimonials for me. But I ended up, this is the big change in my life when I moved across country. So, I was in New York for 26 and a half years of my life. And I just reached a point, and it happened during COVID, that I was like, wow, I need to get out of New York. I want to, it was really a struggle during COVID. I know it was the same for you where you are. And I was like, I need to be by a beach so I can just get out in the fresh air and have nicer weather and have more freedom. So it took me a good year and a half, I think, to kind of fully, you know, like establish, like, all right, I need to move. I need to, like, get out of here. And so I reached out to some gyms in San Diego. I just decided, right, I think San Diego is going to be the place. I was tossing up between Florida and California. And I'd done a webinar where all these gyms were kind of advertising themselves, and there was a chat box and everything, and I showed interest. And the woman that did the webinar, she was the one that reached out to me, said, I can help you. Long story short, reached out to one of the gyms that I was really interested in. It was right on the beach, practically like overlooked the beach. I was like, I want to work for them. So anyway, I went down February in 2022 and interviewed with the gym and got a job with them. So by end of March, I moved out with my dog Tiger, and I moved to San Diego to Mission Beach area and started working for this gym. So, needless to say, I was very involved with that, and I didn't spend any time on my online business, which was wrong. And I just kind of let it go by the wayside. So, then it was a friend of mine that had kind of like a chat with me, and she gave me some tough love. And she said, you've put so much effort into this program and you've had clients, they've had success. What are you doing? And I said, you're right. I need to restart with this. So I just decided, okay, I'm going to relaunch and I'm going to really get my teeth stuck into it. So I did. And I ended up moving. I stopped working for the gym. I decided to move to where I am now in Carlsbad. And I felt like it was better for me, also demographic wise for my business, just because I was still, I still wanted to have one on one clients. And where I was living was very young, very kind of party. And I moved here thinking, okay, it's a more affluent and there's more women in my age group that could be my one-on-one clients. So moved here last year, March time. And then I actually started working with a coach as well. And she's great. She's British. And so we've been really, kind of working hard on my content, social media in particular. And I launched last year. I'll be honest, didn't have a lot of success. I felt like I did it too soon. But I just launched now, right after Christmas, my 12-week program. And I got a couple of women on board, still got a few days to go. So that's very exciting. So, yeah, made some updates to the program. And yeah, so that's kind of where I am at the moment. I know, I just told you my whole life story.
No, I
Yeah.
like it. I like it. I didn't want to interrupt you. So that's really interesting. So I want to shift gears and kind of get
Yeah.
more into the tactical, kind of like what you're doing and that kind of stuff. So why don't we start with, let's start with exercise in general. So when you first started, what was like, how did you get, I know you mentioned you had done ballet and all that stuff, right? Like
Hmm.
you were an active kid and that kind of stuff. But as an
Yeah.
adult, what like how did you get started? What exactly was it? What type of exercise were you doing, and kind of how did
Uh,
you learn the ropes, so to speak?
yeah. Uh, So when I would say, in the early days, as I said, it was all, dancey classes like aerobics, step aerobics and all that. And then when I moved to Italy, that's when I joined a gym and I started getting involved in, weight training. And it was a case of, I guess, I did classes back then, sculpting classes, was learning there. And then just, learning from, other people that were around me in the gym. And I just took a massive interest in, I think it was just, I wanted to learn more about how does my body work, learning correct forms so I can really reap the benefits from that. Um, so I would say I really started getting an interest in weight training back in the early days when I moved to Italy. That would have been in 1990. Yeah, going back a long way. And then I guess it just kept on going from there. And then when I ended up moving after 6 years to New York and I was in Equinox, that's when I really started getting so I was so interested in it. And I talking more to trainers and getting tips and just learning more and more, about, okay, what's the best way of, kind of getting my body in the best shape it can possibly be. So that's when I really sparked my interest in, like, learning more, becoming a personal trainer, because I wanted to, you know figure out, okay, how do I get in the best shape of my life. Yeah. And then it reached a point where I decided to do, a bodybuilding show and knew nothing about it. And that's when I got even deeper into it. So yeah, the bodybuilding side of it, pushed me to new limits. Yeah. Yeah. So that was, well, actually, when I was 46, about to turn 47. Yeah. Yeah. So,
That's
and
interesting.
yeah, I remember going into it and having really no clue. And 6 weeks, basically, I got ready in 6 weeks, but I was already kind of mega in shape. But it was a case of I dieted down so that, obviously my muscles were going to pop out. And then, in the final week, it was kind of not eating an awful lot. It was just protein and, kind of no carbs. And then the, water elimination in the last day, which is always the brutal part. And then, but I stepped on stage and I got third place. So I was very proud of myself. Yep. Yeah. And then I didn't compete the following year, but then the year after that, I competed with, so the first year I competed with NPC. And then I realized I was up against women who were maybe not doing it naturally. And I didn't even know that. I had no clue. And then 2 years later, I was like, I want to compete in a natural bodybuilding show. So I did that, and I won first place, and I got my pro card. So
Oh,
that was really
nice.
exciting. Yeah. Yep. So that was great.
That,
So yeah, the
that's
beginning,
awesome.
I guess the beginning was really when I moved to Italy in 1990 and started going to a gym and, doing resistance training and learning and teaching myself. And yeah, that's where it
Right.
all began. Yeah.
So now where you're at in your life right now with respect to your training, I guess you use resistance training, um, with respect to cardiovascular exercise and other
Yeah.
attributes like balance and coordination and all these things that are really important, especially as we get over 40 and 50 and 60, etc. Do you have your take on that with respect to incorporating it into your program, or how
Yeah.
others, your thoughts on it?
Yeah. Yeah, personally, for me, I realize now that back in the day, I didn't do enough rehab work. I didn't do enough mobility work. I just pounded my body, and now I know my lower back. I actually have some arthritis in my lower back, and I know that's from overuse. Had I done more mobility work back in the day, then I may have been able to avoid that. So I really believe in like taking care of your body at the same time by doing rehab work, whether that's foam rolling or mobility work, just and including balance work as well. Like it has to be, absolutely everything. You can't just keep pounding your body with weights or whatever you might be doing and not address the fact that we've reached a certain age and we have to really rehab it and take care of it so that it keeps functioning, at an optimum level. So now I do mobility work. I want to say every day in the evening I do stuff. I'm actually going to physical therapy at the moment for my lower back. So I have exercises that I do that help with my hips, help even, I mean, I feel like my core is strong, but to strengthen it even more. So yeah, I think that's majorly important. And then also in when I work with clients, addressing kind of balance. Like it's not about doing everything, kind of example, like a squat to press. It's not just about doing things, with a bilateral movement. So, working both sides of the body simultaneously. It's like, how about addressing your balance? There's always going to be a weaker side. My right arm might be stronger than my left arm. With my legs, especially as well, it's kind of like I know when I do like single leg deadlifts and things like that, I wobble. And they say as we get older, our balance starts to go, and it's proven. So it's really important as well. I feel that to address balance, whatever you feel is going to help you. It's like address those issues on a daily basis. Yeah, and include it in your workouts. Yeah. So I do that
I
too.
totally agree.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now
Yeah.
in my fitness journey myself. I do a lot of
Yeah.
isolating one limb or one side of the body,
Yeah.
and that's where I find my biggest progress, because I notice in one exercise my left side's way stronger. On another
Hmm.
exercise, the opposite side doesn't make sense. So, and
Yeah.
then and not to say I don't do both. Like I still squat and
Yeah.
deadlift all those things, but I am more focused on isolating one thing,
Yeah.
working on adding balance to it or imbalances, making myself get
Yeah.
out of balance, so kind of stabilizing and that kind of.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so why don't
Yes.
you walk? I'm just curious. Could you just describe your typical week as far as your exercise, just strictly your
Yep.
exercise, Monday through Sunday? What What are you doing right now,
Yeah. Yep.
and why?
Um,
I'm sure there's a reason
yeah.
for it.
Yeah. So since I've lived here, I've gone through a few phases of doing different things. I was teaching. I was an instructor for. It was called F45. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's an Australian
I have, yeah, I
studio
have. We have it
or
here too. It's
brand.
quite popular.
It's good.
Quite
So
popular, yeah.
I was teaching there, and I was really addicted to those classes because I felt like it was getting me into really great shape, and it was challenging me in a very different way than I'm used to, because my typical workouts are, and I'll run through that in a moment, are breaking it up into body parts, and I put attention on certain muscle groups each day of the week. So this, I felt, kind of was full body workout, but it pushed my endurance on a massive level. And I really enjoyed doing that. However, now I'm back to doing what I've always been doing, which is splitting my body parts up. So this week, coming back after the holidays, I got back into doing, all right, I do leg day twice a week. And, I put a lot of focus on I mean, not everyone's familiar with this term, but posterior chain. So, you have, you know, um, anterior and then posterior. So I feel like we do a lot that work our quads, like running upstairs and things like that, but when are we ever really using our hamstrings and glutes? Not so much. So I put a lot of emphasis on strengthening my hamstrings and my glutes, because that's where I feel personally I'm weaker, and most people are. So I do a lower body day. I typically do, at the moment, I'm working in the gym where I live. It's like a tiny little gym, so I have to get really creative. There's like literally one cable machine and a bunch of dumbbells. There's no kettlebells. There's no other machines. So I'm a little bit limited. But when I do get to go to a regular gym, which I did do yesterday, it's great. And I feel like I'm a kid in a candy store, and, it's got all the machines there for me. So I feel machines are great because they really isolate, and you can use a lot more weight than just using dumbbells alone. And you're more stable. So I like using machines quite a lot. So typically, as I said, Monday I'll start with legs. Yesterday I did back and shoulders. Today I did chest and arms. And then tomorrow I'll go back to, I've had a nice break from doing legs, so it's back to legs again. And then Friday, I'm probably just going to take a break. Saturday, I'm actually teaching a class at a local gym at 7 o'clock. And it's a weight class. I'm going to do a full body. So it's barbells and dumbbells. So I will probably take the class after that. So I'm just kind of getting back into a rhythm of doing my split workouts. So I would say typically it's twice a week for my legs, once a week for back and shoulders, and then once a week for chest and arms. And then, if I do, that's 4 days. So if I get in a fifth day, generally I'll do a full body day. And I would say that's the direction I'm going in now. That might change. I might go and do, some different types of classes at the gym where I've been teaching. But for the most part, I like to do splits, because that's my my focus at the moment is, I feel like I've lost a little bit of muscle mass and I want to get stronger again. So yeah, got to get those muscles popping.
I'm, I'm gonna grill you on this now. So okay, that's cool. You do the typical body part split, which
Yeah,
shows your bodybuilding background. Which, by the way,
yeah,
I'm typically kind of doing something similar. Um,
yeah,
Now, can we go into specifics? Like, not, I don't want your whole workout, but in general, what are like your staple exercises? I know you said you focus on
yeah,
posterior chain.
yeah.
Which for other people who don't know, it's more so the back of the body. All right,
Yes.
but
I mean, yeah, I balance. I mean, I balance it. I balance myself out. Obviously, I'm going to work quads as well, but
yes,
you know, with dumbbells, because I am a little bit limited and I don't like the cable machine where where I work out. It's not the best. Um, it's kind of, yeah, just not great. So I typically use dumbbells. So I will do um kick things like kickstand, deadlift, so that I'm addressing each side of the body individually. I find that really works hamstrings, glutes. Um, I like doing love Bulgarian split squats. Really love those. I feel it addresses literally the entire leg. From glute to, you feel it even in the hamstring and especially in the quad. So I love doing Bulgarian split squats. um, what else do I typically do? Thrusters. So often I'll do single leg thrusters. So I don't go super heavy. I might use a 15-pound weight, balance it on one side, and do single leg thrusters with my back on the bench. Sometimes if I feel I've got to watch my lower back. If it's a little bit tight, then I might do, if it's too much, kind of too much strain, I often find my left side gets a little strained. Then I'll do thrusters with my feet up on the bench, lying down on the mat. I will do, I'm trying to think of all the stuff I'll do. Often I might just add in a squat to press, just to, just enjoy doing overhead press and like getting a little bit of upper body, just throwing a little bit of upper body with one exercise. And then what else if I do? Split squats. Sometimes I'll do trying to think rope. Also, occasionally I'll use the machine rope pull throughs, which are going to address glutes and hammies. Trying to think now what else I've been doing. So as I said, it's a little bit limiting being in that gym, and I love it when I go to a regular gym and I've got every single machine that I want. The lying hamstring curl. I can do kind of work on my quads on the leg extension machine. I can do leg press on the machine. I can do there's so many machines that I love using at the gym. So yeah, when I'm using just dumbbells, don't even have the access of kettlebells, then I am a bit limited. So in another one, I love sumo squats as well. Those are great, hitting like inner thigh, hitting quads, gets a little bit for the glutes as well. So, yeah, I would say typically I cover about six exercises. I do four sets of each. So I'll do generally superset, run through four sets, moving on to the next two exercises, do four sets of those. So I literally go two exercises four times and run through the next two sets of exercises. So yeah, four sets, usually about six exercises. Yeah.
Cool. And do you
Yeah.
track what you're doing? Like, do you write it down or um,
Um,
like see where
at the
you're at?
moment, I haven't been because I'm so limited
Yeah,
in the gym where I
gotcha.
am. And so I haven't been writing it down. And I do feel like, okay, I need to get to a real gym. I'm a little bit um, it's a bit of a struggle for me getting to a gym because I don't have a car. So I'm kind of relying on my friend who I live with who has, a gym membership, and we went yesterday. So we're back on it. I think I've twisted his arm. He's a runner and doesn't typically go to the gym, but I think he's realizing after me kind of nagging him, like, you've got to work on, because he's in his 60s, and I'm like, you've got to, work on increasing your muscle mass. And he's like, I know. So I think we're going to be going to the gym. And then I feel like I can, write down my programs and say, all right, this is what I'm working on today. But for right now, I haven't been doing that. It's kind of like I know what I need to do and I just knock
Mhm.
it out. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
And do you track anything by like with pictures at all or weight? Do you weigh yourself? Does it matter to you or measurements?
Um,
Just in general, just curious how you track
yeah,
your progress overall, or if
I
you do or just
do. Yeah, I do. I weigh myself not all the time because I really don't want to be fixated on the number on the scale. And there's proof. You just need to look at Instagram. People like show pictures of here's me in 2022. This is my weight, and then the next picture is here I am in 2022 after going working out kind of with weights for the last year and a half or whatever, I'm the same weight. So there's proof that it's not about your weight because when you're building muscle, clearly muscle weighs more than fat. So you can weigh the same weight but look so much better because you've built that lean muscle mass and decreased your fat. So the number on the scale doesn't mean so much to me. Um, but I don't like it when I kind of go up too much, I'll be honest. And I'm always pretty much the same weight. I'm always kind of around 107 and it never really changes. Apart from last year, I did put on a few pounds and I was like, this has got to come off. So I did, yeah, when I was teaching at F45, I would go like four times a week, sometimes five. And I have to say, I got all that weight off in a short amount of time. So Yeah, I mean, I am interested in tracking my weight, and I'm because I'm so small. I'm only 5 foot. Um, I always want to keep my weight at a certain level and not go up too much. But I think my thing at the moment is like increasing my muscle mass. So yeah, my weight might go up, over the next few months. Yeah. But
Interesting.
I'm pretty good, yeah, with my diet as well. I mean, I know we haven't touched on that, but I feel like I'm pretty religious about getting enough protein so I can build more muscle, and my diet is pretty clean. Yeah, I make sure
Oh
I
yeah,
get a ton of vegetables.
grill you on your diet for sure.
Okay. Yeah, and people don't
No, I
realize
love.
it's
I
80%. Eighty
Yes,
percent is your diet of how you look. You know?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and no, I do. I want to touch on the fact that you said about the scale. The number doesn't matter as much because, um, like you said, body weight versus body composition. In other words, muscle
Yeah.
versus fat. And I totally agree with that.
Hmm.
Excuse me. I apologize. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think a lot of people are fixated on the scale, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's good to have an idea, but if you're gaining muscle and burning fat, the scale can deceive you.
Yeah.
You might actually weigh more. So, and
Yes.
another
Exactly.
misconception, which I'm sure, especially dealing with premenopausal or menopausal women, is I'm sure you've heard, oh, I don't want to be bulky. I don't want to get big. Like, do you ever get that? And I know that drives you nuts because, first of all, as a man, it's
Yeah.
extremely difficult to put on muscle.
Yeah.
Some guys more than others, depending on their genetics. But even then, if you're a
Yeah.
natural athlete, and even if you take stuff, you can't. People think if you take, I don't do any PDs or anything like that. Never have, but
Mm.
I know guys who have, bodybuilders and stuff. And even then, it's like you still have to work your ass off. Like it's not. You don't just inject steroids and you get
Yes.
huge. Like it doesn't work like that. So I'm just curious how you
Yeah.
address for ladies that say that because that's like the biggest thing I hear to this day is
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't want to
I
get bulky.
just have to
Like what?
I just have to knock it down, that comment every time. I'm just like, ladies, I did bodybuilding. I struggled pretty hard to build muscle, and I had to eat 4 times a day. I was eating, protein and carbs. Like I ate chicken and sweet potato and fish and sweet potato all the time. And I worked my ass off in the gym. It is so hard to build muscle. Never mind as you get older and after the age of 30, your ability to build muscle gets a little bit harder and you start to lose muscle mass. And if you're not paying massive attention to your diet and getting yourself to the gym and doing resistance training, you're going to lose it. So I have to let women know, like in a few short sentences, it's not going to happen. Trust me. You will not get bulky. Like
Yeah, it's
absolutely
super
not.
frustrating when I hear that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
yeah, let's dive into diet. You said you're very very strict with your diet, which I think is
And
I agree
quit.
with you. It's critical,
Yeah,
especially for
yeah.
maintaining the healthy body fat levels and all that. So why don't you? I'm just curious. What's your philosophy about nutrition? Do you follow a specific diet? Are there things you don't avoid? Why don't we get into that first?
Yeah.
Curious what your philosophy
First of
is.
all, I'll say like I'm a huge foodie. Like I love food. I'm almost like obsessed with food. I love food. Like I'm thinking about I've eaten lunch and I'm thinking, oh, what am I going to cook for dinner? Uh, and I think but it's a healthy obsession with food because I love cooking. I think ever since I was a kid, I was always in the kitchen with my mum baking, and then it evolved more into like a passion for cooking. But I would say it really became a true passion, like literally in the last few years. And I think I realized just how much your diet affects you. I probably in my bodybuilding days is when I started to learn, like, wow, how much your body can change just from your diet. So I think I just became so interested in it. And I will say, because every time I competed, it was like 5 months of like restrictive eating, and I couldn't kind of, sway too much from, the plain kind of way of eating. And after that, I was like, I just got so into my cooking. I decided at a certain point I wasn't going to compete anymore. So I just was like, well, how can I make food so delicious yet healthy at the same time, not highly calorific? And so I just started. like really getting more and more and more into my cooking. And I never ordered in. I didn't even go out much to eat, eat dinner. But when I did go out, I would allow myself whatever the heck I wanted, because I'm like, sometimes you just got to do that. But at home, I mean, I would say my diet focuses more so on a Mediterranean style diet. And, having lived in Italy, I learned, how important food is. And I love being able to sit down and eat a meal. I love being able to sit down at a table with people and enjoy food. I feel like it should be a ritual. And growing up as well, I mean, we had to, like, my dad would be like, turn the TV off, come and sit down at the table. So I feel like, you need to sit down and really pay attention to what's on your plate and be mindful of what you're putting in your body. It starts there. And I think, so many people, especially in the US, are snackers. That's where people struggle with their weight. And it's just a habit. They just get to the evening. I'm working with a client at the moment. She goes, I can't help myself. I get to the evening and I just want to sit down and snack. I said, but aren't you full after dinner? She said, yeah, but I just want to make something else and I'm watching TV. And because I said, aren't you diverted by watching what you're watching on TV? She said, I just want something to eat. And I'm like, that is a habit that people need to break. And I'm going to break that habit with her. Well, she knows she has to. So for me, snacking is kind of like, I might snack late in the morning. Maybe I've come back from the gym and I'm like, all right, it's not quite lunchtime. I'm going to have a handful of nuts and seeds or something like that, just to tide me over for like another half an hour or something like that. So I do not snack, and I never feel the need to. I only eat when I'm hungry. I think that is so important, and people really screw up. They eat when they're not hungry. It's like, listen to the signals your body is telling you, and then maybe, you might lose weight and maintain that weight and stay there. So people need to understand, like, eat when you're hungry and eat food that's going to really nourish your body, especially for women in my age group. It's about, okay, you want to balance your hormones, you want to reach a weight that you can maintain and your diet is sustainable, then yeah, make some sacrifices. This woman I'm working with now, as I said, we're going to make some sacrifices for a while. And then once she's reached that weight, it's like, okay, now you can sustain this way of eating and not put on weight. And it's like, avoid that yo yo dieting as well. So for me, it's like breakfast time. I always have coffee in the morning. I know you're not supposed to have coffee on an empty stomach because it can raise your cortisol and things like that, but sometimes I might, have a piece of fruit or something. Sometimes I make these nice little oatmeal bars, healthy, have that with coffee. But generally, I make like a protein shake in the morning, so I get in protein, my amino acids, really important as well to start your day off, trying to get all your essential amino acids. Um, and then lunchtime, I generally make a salad, whether it be a salad with a basis of vegetables. It could be leftover roasted vegetables. I do arugula. I do things, something called, I get from, you've heard of Trader Joe's. I don't know if you have Trader Joe's. Do you? Love
Uh,
Trader Joe's. They
yes,
have
we
this thing
do.
called cruciferous crunch.
Yeah, yeah. We have
And so
Trader Joe's. We definitely.
I love it. I love Trader Joe's. Throw in cruciferous crunch, which is kind of a base of like cabbage and kale and shaved Brussels sprouts. And then I might throw in like some beans, whether it's black beans. I might throw in some, edamame, cooked edamame, whatever it might be. I mix it up, or it might be a regular kind of salad, add in tomatoes, more of a Mediterranean style salad. So it's a case of, I feel like, really having variety, getting enough variety of vegetables in my diet on a daily basis. Or I might make like a healthy quinoa salad or a farro salad, throw in veggies with that. So there's always the basis of um, vegetables at every single meal. And then typically my protein might be chicken that I've cooked in a skillet, or I make my homemade turkey burgers. Um, if I don't have like fresh protein, then I've always got like a can of like Alaskan salmon, Trader Joe's again, and I will make a salad and throw in salmon. So it's always like about a healthy salad and protein. And then, not gonna lie, I love my dark chocolate, so I'll have maybe a couple of squares of dark chocolate after.
That's
Summertime,
okay.
though, I generally I love the summer fruit, so I always have summer fruit, whatever it might be in season. But wintertime, I'm not so much about let me have an orange or let me have an apple. I just kind of crave like a little bit of dark chocolate. And then I go quite a long time from my lunch to evening meal. I generally don't get hungry in the afternoon at all. I often wonder, like, is my metabolism, is it slowing a little bit? Is it not as efficient? Again, another reason for me saying, okay, let's get that like muscle back, which I feel I had before and I've lost a little bit because I feel like that, it really helps with your resting metabolism. So evening meal, I again, its basis is going to be protein and vegetables. Um, and my go-to is roasted vegetables from the oven. I love, or in the air fryer. I love doing salmon. I eat salmon maybe at least 3 times, maybe 4 times a week. And then other times I'll make different kinds of recipes, or I have old recipes that I love and I'll make, whether it's like a white chicken chili, or it might be, kind of a sheet pan recipe with chicken in and vegetables. So I do a lot of recipes. I might do one a week so that I've got it for a few days. So it's kind of like doing a meal prep and having that, kind of on hand, like for a few days of the week. And then, yeah, typically I will have more chocolate in the evening, not going to lie. So, although I'm strict, because I eat so healthy, I know I can allow myself that little bit of chocolate as my treat after, and it satisfies me. And as I said, I don't sit down and watch TV and snack or anything like that. Um, I love drinking kombucha. I feel it's great with the pre and with, the probiotics in it. I think it's pre and probiotics. I feel massive, like to help with a healthy gut. I do like my wine, but I try and keep that for more social occasions. But I do like wine. I do definitely do like my wine, but I've cut back a massive amount because I realize that also is a lot harder to metabolize. We lack the enzyme which breaks down alcohol as we get older. As a woman, it's so much harder. So I've realized it's definitely a hindrance in the sense of like burning fat. It's also just, I mean, it's a toxin. We know that. So I'm really trying hard just to say, okay, let's keep it for those, not necessarily just special occasions, but for when I go out and socialize. Yeah. So it's kind of in a nutshell where, about my diet. Yeah. But I do like to indulge, I'm not gonna lie. When I go out, if I want to indulge, I will, and I know that I can. But for the most part, my diet is, healthy. I get plenty of, I feel like, antioxidants and vitamins, and I'm all about taking care of my body so that my big thing is like, okay, longevity, how long can I keep staying looking the way I am without noticing like, oh, there's a few more wrinkles, or my skin is really starting to sag. I'm all about, okay, try and stay looking as youthful as possible. A couple of other things I forgot to mention. I take collagen. So I used to take collagen and put it in my protein shake. I was using a collagen powder. Now I'm using a collagen and biotin drops in the morning. So I've been doing that, and I think it really is making a difference. So yeah, there's a couple of things that that I like to do that are my ritual, and that's one of them. Yeah, yeah,
Um, that's really good. I really like that you emphasize that you can quote unquote cheat or indulge a little bit. And they say dark chocolate
yeah,
is good for you. The closer to pure actual chocolate, that like there's a
yeah.
lot of studies that show it's actually very good for you. So it's just
Yes,
about how much
indeed.
sugar's in it. But even then, it's I think it's healthy to
Yeah,
for people like yourself and myself, like very into a healthy lifestyle, I think it can be unhealthy if you don't stop and like, hey, just chill out. It's gonna be okay. If you have a little piece
yeah,
of bread,
yeah,
like you're not gonna die. Like I think it's
yeah,
more unhealthy to freak out about everything than that if you were to just say, we're
yeah,
gonna have a little piece of chocolate, you know, like it's all good.
yeah.
It's cool.
It's
And
true,
enjoy
and
it.
also
Don't feel guilty about it. Like
yes,
just enjoy it. Like it's all
exactly.
good. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, and also we need to shock our metabolism sometimes. If you're putting the same thing in your body day in, day out, guess what? It's just going to get used to that. It's going to get used to the same amount of calories and like, oh, and maybe you're eliminating carbs. It's like your metabolism's just going to become used to it. So it needs to become. I'm reading a really interesting book called Master Your Metabolism, and I'm learning like even more about, okay, we need to have, it's not about having a fast metabolism, it's about having a flexible metabolism. So you can go out, you can indulge, and your metabolism's like, okay, you gave me a bit more food today, but I can handle that, instead of just day in, day out the same thing. So it's like getting your body kind of used to. That's why, when I did bodybuilding, I never understood at first, like, why is my coach making me do these carb cycling days? It's because you want to shock your metabolism, so you don't want it to get used to the same thing day in, day out. So yeah, there's a science to it as well. Yeah.
For sure. So
Yeah.
just just out of curiosity, what are some things that foods that foods or drinks that you like absolutely not, like you say is a no-no, or at least for you and your clients, where you're like
Yeah.
they're off limits, or at least for the most part where you're like, nope, do
Yeah.
not get away from that. What are your must do not eat this
Yeah.
crap? Don't eat this shit.
um you know, everyone has their weak points where they're like, they might want like a custard filled donut, whatever it is, go for that. But, knowing that that's not, it's like one of those indulges once in a blue moon. My like utter indulgence might be like an almond croissant or something like that, but I maybe have that twice a year or something, because I know at the end of the day it's just fat and sugar. It's not doing my body any good. um, so I would say, yeah, things that I don't eat are going to be things like pastries. Like I generally don't have them. I like them, but it's not like, oh, I'm really craving that. I think once you get into eating a clean diet, you don't necessarily crave that kind of thing anymore. Um, but what I tell my clients is, you know, get off the processed foods. It's like, stop with the things that have like a million ingredients. Like if you check the back, if you look at the label, you know if it has a million ingredients, like it's messing with your hormones. It's like you don't want to be putting in all these you know horrible additives into your body. It's just, it should be a no-brainer. You don't want to do that. So yeah, we're going to buy things like tortilla chips occasionally and crackers and things like that. I have a healthier version of tortilla chips, but I don't overindulge with those. I can have a very small handful, like two or three, and I'm like, I'm happy with that. So there's no foods I feel for me. I'm like, oh, that's off limits. Do I occasionally want to eat pizza? Yes, and quite often I might say, no, I'm not going to pick that. It's not, it's not very healthy. But then why not? Why not have it once in a while? So I would say I do let myself have those things once in a while, but on a day-to-day basis, I like to stick to a healthy diet because I want to give my body the right nutrition. So yeah, there's going to be times though when I'm like, yeah, bring it on. Give me that chocolate lava cake, when I'm when I'm out, you know? So yeah, there's nothing really I would say, oh, that's off limits. It's more about understand that your body needs as much nutrition as it possibly can in midlife. Things in your body aren't working as well as they used to, and things are going to um, are going to upset your body if
Right.
you are eating things with like long ingredient lists. It's like, just be smart about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. Like approach, your approach seems to be, what I'm hearing is your approach seems to be more of a balance and what you do most of the time. And so if you're
Yeah.
eating well and you have this balance most of the time, it's okay to indulge here and there. You don't necessarily put a off
Yeah.
limits entirely. I like that. I approach it the same way. I used to be very strict
Yeah.
with certain things at one point, where I was like a sergeant. And it's like, and then I realized, you know what? I'm like going back to what I said earlier. I'm stressing out about this which is probably even worse than if I did just eat it once in a while, because I don't even crazy
Yes,
like that. So I learned to just chill
exactly.
out, you know, and now
Yeah,
because I chill out about it, it's not a big thing, and I actually eat crap food less than I
yeah,
used to, simply because I don't
yeah,
stress out about it when I do. Um,
yeah. And
so
I think, this is the problem with women that I, speak to, that they feel like it's the all or nothing approach. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be the all or nothing approach. Sure, you're going to have to make the sacrifices, over like maybe a 3 month period of time to lose that body fat. Because if you're going to keep eating your, kind of froyo yogurt stuff in the evening or whatever with the chocolate chips on top, guess what? You're, you're not going to lose the weight. It's about making those sacrifices for a while and then knowing, all right, I want to indulge like a couple of evenings out of the week. I can do that now and that's okay. But at the beginning, some women, they just feel like, oh, it has to be that all or nothing. It has to be total deprivation. And I spoke to this new client and I said, yeah, get rid of like making your like, yogurt whippy chocolate whatever in the evening that she said, she's been making. Get rid of those little snacky things that you're sitting down to have watching Netflix and just have like a tiny bit of dark chocolate. You don't have to go cold turkey on every single thing that makes you happy. Have that little bit of dark chocolate and you'll be satisfied, you know? So yeah, that's my approach. It doesn't have to be all or nothing approach because you're just going to go back to the old habits and the old ways.
right, I agree with you 100% on that. Now you did mention you take collagen. So I was going to ask you, do you take any other supplements, and do you recommend any supplements, at least for your,
Yeah,
women, menopausal women or premenopausal women?
yeah. Yep. So I did a post actually on Instagram, like a part one, part two, all about supplements that I take. So generally I go through phases where sometimes I do take like a one a day or a two a day multivitamin, but I do feel like my diet is pretty on point and I'm getting enough nutrition. So I go through phases. I'm like, yeah, do I really need to take this? But the things that I really do take every single day are omega-3 fish oil, super, super important for your joints. It's for everything, for brain health. There's multiple helping with inflammation. But there's, as I said, it's like so many things that it's good for. I do take selenium as well. I'm trying to remember selenium. I always forget selenium, how it helps the body, but really, really important for the body. I should have written that one down. I take, even though I feel like I get quite a bit of sunshine here in San Diego, I do take every 2 days vitamin D, and then I take calcium, super important, obviously for women, to help prevent osteoporosis. And I have one that I'm actually a brand ambassador for. Really, really like it, called Cal 20. It's really good. And then I take, what else do I take? Oh, I take MSM. So MSM again helps with your joints. And knock on wood, I don't have any joint issues, nothing aches, and I'm trying to keep that problem at bay. So I take MSM, so that really helps with your joints, um, joint lubrication, and so on. And then I was taking a vitamin B like supplement. I haven't actually been taking that for a while again because I feel like I'm getting quite a lot from my diet. Um, I don't feel I need it. I know that it helps massively with stress and things like that, but I'm in a good place right now, and I feel like, as I said, my diet is giving me enough. I'm trying to think the other thing that I'm taking. Oh, magnesium. So I always take magnesium at night as well. It helps with sleep. Whole other bunch of things. Yeah, I'd say pretty much that's it right now. And as I said, I go through phases sometimes. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to take a multivitamin. I'm going to take a B complex. But for the most part, that's what I'm taking at the moment: the fish oil, magnesium, calcium, the selenium. I may have, oh, the vitamin D. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm taking at the moment. Yeah. Oh, I think you're on
Sorry,
mute.
sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. No, I was saying, what's your sleep like?
um, my sleep is really good now, thankfully. It wasn't at one time. Again, crazy hot flashes in the middle of the night wake me up, and I was sleep deprived a lot. It was, you just feel like, I just feel like this surge of heat going through my body, and it was just like, like, just sweating profusely, and that was awful. I think that was my turning point. Like, I got to learn more about my body, what the heck is going on. And then I did actually get on bioidentical hormones, and that changed my life in a week. And it helped me, get a sound night's sleep, which is super important for women, that restorative sleep between 2 and 4 p.m., 4 a.m. rather, is really, really important. And, just helping repair the body in general, and just being able to go about your day the next day, like having 7 to 8 hours sleep, really, really important. So since going on the bioidentical hormones, not to be confused with the old school synthetic hormones, my life changed. It really, really, really helped. So I felt like anxiety going away, stress, and just being able to sleep at night without waking up with hot flashes. So still on them now, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to stay on them. And there's a lot of um, misunderstanding about the bioidentical hormones, because all the studies that were done way back are all on women that were like over 60. I remember I done a lot of research on it, and it was using synthetic hormones, and they were saying
Mm,
how it causes blood clots, can cause cancer, and it's not true. So it's been discovered it's not so, with the bioidentical hormones. So I'm all for them.
interesting.
So my
Okay.
sleep is good. Yeah, but my program, I really address that. I mean, some women don't want to take the bioidentical hormones, so that's something I really address in my 12-week program as well, is overcoming the problems with sleeping and addressing that. Yeah,
Interesting. And do you have a sleep routine? Like before bed, and like
yeah,
a routine to kind of get you in the groove. Like some people say, "Oh, I avoid
yeah.
technology an hour before bed, etc." Do you have
You
one? Or
know, I'm really bad with that, and I need to practice what I preach. Yeah, I'm
I'm putting you
sometimes
on the
kind of
spot.
like, I know, and sometimes I'm like still glancing at Instagram and like, oh, I posted my post, but I didn't, it's on Facebook, but it's not on my business page for Facebook. Let me do that now. And oh, I didn't post a TikTok. And there I am in the evening, and I need to learn to switch off. And I know that blue light is terrible for your hormones. And so I need to practice what I preach, and I am going to. Thank you for reminding me. There's going to be a habit change for me this week. Yes. So that's my New Year's resolution, is get into that routine and I vowed to myself I'm going to do this, is like stop with the technology after a certain time, put the phone away, put the laptop away. And I have some great books to read, and I need to get into that habit of starting to read. I do um, put on a meditation, a sleep meditation, or I listen to, like, they're called soundscapes. And I have a really good app, free as well, called Insight Timer, and it's wonderful. So I get on that, and as I said, I listen to some kind of, you know, ocean sounds, or whether it's just some kind of lovely music that helps me fall asleep. Or I listen to, there's one lady in particular, I love the sound of her voice. So I do that. But I need to, as I said, stop with the technology after a certain time. Yeah. So I don't have a really set bedtime routine, but I'm going to get into it this week. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Don't worry, you're human. We're all guilty of it from time to time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there's just as a tip, there are apps that do shut
Mm.
off certain apps for you, so you
Mm.
can set a timer where like
Yeah.
you can't even log on. Of course, you can bypass it, but it
Oh,
takes a lot of work, and so it allows you to kind of like let's say it's 8 o'clock as an example. It just shuts
Yeah.
it down. Like you won't even be able to access it. You can shut
Oh.
your laptop down for people that need that.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it is a pervasive habit that I think most people struggle with now.
Yes.
These apps are engineered so they become addictive and very easy to
Yep.
use. So yeah, don't feel
Yes.
too bad.
Yes.
I think we all need a little bit of improvement in that area. I think most people struggle.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
so
Yes.
we're running close to time, but I do want to ask you a
Mm.
few questions rapid fire if that's cool.
Go ahead.
All
I'm
right, cool.
ready.
So out of everything we discussed, right? Like with your
Mm.
let's focus on your clients, for example. If
Mm.
they're limited in their day, as far as how much exercise they can do, and let's say they only have literally don't have that much time, is there like best bang for your buck exercises or workouts that you would say, okay, guys, you have to at least do this every day or every other day, etc.
Yes. Yeah. I like the idea of putting a timer on. So having a timer, having whether it's two exercises or three exercises, and saying, I'm going to do those three bodyweight exercises, whether it's a push up, a tricep dip, a burpee, or whatever exercises you want to group together, and put a timer on your phone and do as many rounds as possible of those two exercises or three exercises. So kind of like a Tabata would be, you could do a Tabata type thing as well. It's 20 seconds on of the exercise of each exercise and then 10 seconds off. But I kind of like, the idea of putting it on a timer, knock those exercises out, having a break, and then going for it again with a new set of exercises. And you'd be surprised how much you can get done in such a short amount of time. And it's really working on your endurance. So boosting, your heart rate's going up and you're getting like that quick fire, using your words now, that quick fire kind of workout that's getting your heart rate going and helping you with your endurance too. And you could knock that out. You could knock that out in, maybe you do three exercises and you set the timer for 10 minutes. How much can you do in 10 minutes? Do three other exercises. How much can you do in 10 minutes? Guess what? You're just done 20 minutes of exercise and, you're out of breath and you've worked your muscles. So there's never really excuses. So I feel that you get your best bang for your buck in that time doing those kind of workouts.
I love it. That's a good tip.
Yeah.
A timer. I do that too. You can't the
Ah,
clock doesn't lie to us. So keep it
yeah.
honest. Okay. And so with respect to all the things we talked about, we touched on fitness, the different exercises, nutrition, supplements, sleep, etc. In your opinion, do you think there is a priority of what's most important or least important? Do you think if
Mm.
somebody has to prioritize one as a focus? It seems to me that it was diet from what you've said, but just
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, what would you say is
Yeah, it's a tricky question because I do feel, like you said, diet is 80% of it. You are what you eat. Um, and I think, you could lose a ton of weight, especially if someone is really overweight, they're going to lose a ton of weight and feel better health wise, look better. But there's something to be said about your mental health and moving your body every day. So, and then the other side of it is like, yes, lifting weights is going to help change your body composition and make it um, more efficient at burning that body fat, keeping you at the right weight. So there is that, part of it is like, yeah, but I want that person to do both. I want my client to say, okay, you're going to make the time to work out as well because it's so important to build muscle, especially as you get older. Um, and it will help change your body composition in the long run and improve your resting metabolism. So you're going to burn more calories at rest. But if it was going to be one thing, diet. But I think also, yeah, mental health. It's so important to move your body. But if someone had to pick one thing, diet. Yeah, get
interesting?
healthy with your diet.
And I
Yeah,
actually we didn't get to touch on this, but if you want to quickly, I'm just curious, how do
yeah.
you seem like someone who's very sharp. You seem like you take care of your mental health and your emotions. Do you have any routines or tips for people, especially as you're getting older, to take care of your brain health? Like keep your mind
Yeah.
sharp. Whether it's all your cognitive faculties and even your emotional health. Do you focus on that at all, or is that kind of just goes with it? I know exercise
Um,
does impact that as well, of course, but
yeah,
directly.
it does. It does. I mean, last year, I will say I went through a bit of a rough period. Like, yeah, things weren't great in my life, let's just say that. So I had to really kind of work on my mental health, and I did work. I mean, this year started working. No, sorry, last year I was working with a therapist. And sorry, the year that I really struggled. No, it was last year I was really struggling, and I started working with a therapist, and she helped me exponentially. It really, really helped me shift things in my head, and try not to put too much focus on, I was really putting so much focus on the success of my business, for example. And she was like, you yes, that's important, very important to you, but you can't put all your happiness on the success of your business. So that really made me go, ooh, and I really shifted my mindset. um so I think, and obviously learning about, okay, yes, gratitude, we all know, like writing in a journal can help and be grateful for, the everyday things, the small things. So although I don't keep like a gratitude journal now, I do. I mean, even when I'm just get up and like, walk my dog in the morning, I'm always like, thank you, universe, thanks for another beautiful day. It's just like saying those things, makes you realize like it's another gorgeous day. I'm healthy. I can move. I can move my body. I can exercise. I'm not. My body's not hurting. So I think, yeah, being grateful for the small things in life, we need to acknowledge that on a daily basis. I don't have any set, rituals that I do, like keeping a journal anymore. Um, but I think for some people that are struggling, yes, that's really, really important. And part of my program as well, the very first week is mindset. And I think, just, if someone is really struggling to get to the point of like feeling fitter and healthier and everything, they might be really hard on themselves. So it's like, give yourself some grace. Like, you're doing it, you're actually trying to change your body, you're trying to change your mental health. So give yourself some grace, give yourself a pat on the back and say, I'm doing it. It's like baby steps. So just acknowledging that you're trying to change your life and turn it around. I think that's really important, is just staying focused on the good that you're doing for yourself. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I do. I believe in therapy as well. I used to not, especially most men don't, right? But I think
Right.
the way I look at it is I'm an athlete. I've been athletic my whole life, and the
Mm,
way I view it is athletes need coaches. That's just
mm,
another coach. It's a
yeah.
mind coach or an emotional coach. And if you look at it that way,
Yes.
it's like, oh, it makes sense. This person has training in areas that I have no clue about, and I could probably
Mm,
learn some things from that. So, because there's a whole like stigma behind it, right? But it's like there doesn't
yeah.
have to be something quote unquote wrong. You don't
Right.
necessarily need a coach just because something's wrong. You could just need it to improve or to get
Yeah.
to another level, right? So I think that's
Yeah.
important as well. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
lots
So,
of life changes. Sorry.
yes. No,
I
no,
meant to
no.
say
Go ahead.
life changes for me. I was going to say my life did a 180, and,
Hmm.
you know, I think it was just, and I had to move a few times, and not having a support group around me. That's what I was struggling with. I was so used to having like a strong support group of friends around me when I lived in New York. So that was a struggle, and then moving a lot, and yeah.
Yep.
That was hard. So we're all going through our own experiences and journey, and there's nothing wrong with having a therapist or a coach who's going to help you move through that change. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Life can
Mm.
can come with its ups and downs for sure, and
Heck
sometimes change is
yes.
forced on you whether you like it or not. I dealt with
Yeah.
something similar last year, so I totally get
Yeah.
you. So
Yeah.
there's a question that Tim Ferriss, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he asks in his
Mm.
podcast, which I really like. He says if there was a billboard that had a quote that would be your quote, and it's the only, whatever you want it to say, and you're you're gone now and whatnot, that's what's left. What would that say? Like, what would the billboard say?
Oh, wow, you put me on the spot.
It's
Ah,
a good one, right?
I'm gone, meaning like I don't exist. I mean, I'm dead.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Oh
And it
boy.
doesn't even have to be dark like that. It could just be like, it's a billboard with a quote of yours, and everybody
Um,
gets to see it. And so, what would be, billboard can't fit too much on it. So, what would it be?
yeah. Oh boy.
It's a great question, right? That's why
I needed a heads up on this one.
it's okay. Just like
um,
gut feeling,
yeah,
what you
gut feeling.
feel
Let me have
from your heart, like this thing
yeah.
would mean.
Um, hmm. I mean, what's just coming to me is just be be your true self. That's all that's coming to mind at the moment. But I probably could have come up with a better one. But I think, um, you know, yeah, just being your true, authentic self throughout life
Hmm.
is, I would say, yeah, don't bend over backwards for people, and yeah, but that's not that if I'd had time to think about this, I probably would have come up with a better one. I'll be honest. That's not, yeah, yeah, that's maybe not the best one.
I
So
like it. I like it.
you like it, but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I do believe in just being your authentic self.
I'll make you a
Don't.
deal. Think about it and then get back to me, and
I will,
we
because I'll
can
probably come up
always.
with a better one.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know I put you on the spot, but I think it's a great exercise, especially when it's out of nowhere, because
yeah,
it's like it forces you to address like, oh, what's most important to me in a sense, because ultimately you want
yeah,
to put the message that's most important to you out there, right? So,
yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Sorry to get you on the spot, but
No, 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 no. It's quite all right. It's all right. Yeah,
so Renan, we're out of time, but I do appreciate you. I really enjoyed the conversation. I learned a lot from you,
mm.
and maybe we can have a part two.
Yeah. That would be great. Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed it
I
too.
hope one day
It
we
was
could
great.
work out together. I'm in Toronto,
Yeah,
so we'll see if that ever happens. We could do like a group
yeah. No,
workout.
that
That'd
would
be
be
cool.
cool. Or you could come to San Diego and we could work out
That's
outdoors.
I would much prefer that. This is
Yeah,
not a place to be right now.
yeah, yep. I'm not
So
missing the
Rhiannon, thank you so
snow.
much. No, don't miss the
Yeah.
snow. Is there anything you want to plug, like any websites, social media accounts, whatever you
Um,
like? Go for it.
yeah, if there's anyone out there that wants to find me, you can find me on social media on I'm on Facebook, and it's just Rhiannon Coles Coaching, and across the board I'm Rhiannon Coles Coaching, so even on Instagram. So yeah, it's just, obviously all one word, Rhiannon Coles Coaching. And then I'm on TikTok as well. And then let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't have a website because I feel like I have Linktree. I have a link on my social media that takes people to a landing page, and they can see everything that I do in terms of like my 12-week program that obviously is very specific to women over 50, and then my one-on-one coaching. So that's, coaching from like training and nutrition. And then, as I said, all the information is there, and it's just, people can just click on that Linktree link and they can find out all the information about me. Yeah.
And so, just to reiterate, on Facebook and Instagram, it's Rhiannon Coles Coaching. That's
Yes.
RHIANNONCOLES Coaching
Yes.
for
That's right.
Instagram and things. Also, in these
Yeah.
shows, I always put the links. You'll see the links in the descriptions, but that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you
Cool.
so much.
Excellent. Thank you too. That was
Oh,
great.
okay, we'll chat
All
soon.
right.
Take care. Bye bye.
Yes. Cheers. Bye.